Hey, push net, new little video. This one is kind of the part 3 of the other two part, which is kind of part 1, part 2 of on the assessment one. What I want to talk about this one is the physical assessment. So on the other one, we talk about laboratory, and I kind of started reverse because I really wanted to get into this warning before we talk a little bit more about this part. So my background is initially I was a first aid person, so I kind of understand a lot of people. I was the first. I did my first aid course, and then I became a ski patroller. So I understand the assessment, head to toe kind of assessment. When I want to talk about this one here, and again, it's more about giving you tools than to make you nurses or whatever healthcare professional, should I say, over YouTube. That's not my intention. But what I want to give you, and I'm working right now on a document on assessment by system. And what I've learned by this is working in critical care area. This is how I do my own assessment when I see when I start my shift or if I have a new patients and stuff. We go through systems, and I got 5 systems, and the system that I put in together is again by this assessment. And a lot of people think that an assessment takes like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something like this, but basically sometime I can see when I start my shift, less than 5 minutes I'm in and out, and I got all the information that I need. So it's really about knowing what you should ask more than asking everything. When you have someone, it's because there's different ways of approaching and stuff. So we'll go with the assessment quickly. And I'll talk about my shift starting, and the reason that I'm going this way is that obviously sometimes more information gives you more trouble, like more of a headaches and stuff. And so what I'm trying to work on is an approach again from an expert vision to a novice, and how can you help having a better decision. And it's not about making you diagnostician, it's not about you knowing that this is this or this is that. It's more about how, with the knowledge that you have or no knowledge that you have or the limited knowledge that you have, can you take a decision that will impact, should I bug in, bug out, should I go there or there, or should I apply this or that. This is what my purpose is. It's not to make you doctors. It's not to make you nurses. It's not to make you healthcare professional. That is not my intention. My intention is really to help you take a decision to impact, should I move in, should I move out, or should I move from where I am? Should I go towards more the camps? Should this person, does it seem like it needs when you read books on wilderness medicine, whatever, they talk about evacuation. What I'm trying to do with the self-reliance one is kind of combine some information as like, okay, the risk of me going to a hospital, let's say there's a pandemic going on, influenza pandemic, H1N1 all across the board, how much risk am I willing to take based on what I have? And this is what I'm trying to give you, much information. That decision at the end will be yours, but what I'm trying to give you is a tool to take a decision so that you can take that stuff. So when I come to bedside, the first thing I do is what they call the emergency, and I'll do it reverse because the pulse is right here. So what we call a radial pulse is basically the radial bone, and basically it's on the side of the thumb. But because I'm by myself right now, I'm going to do it on the opposite way. But when I take a pulse, I don't take it with 2 fingers. I put 4 fingers. The reason is that some people will have arthritis or other stuff and everything. And what happened is that if you put only 2 fingers, sometimes their pulse is different place and stuff. So what I do is when I see someone, I go like this, 4 fingers right on the bone, following the line, but again, on the radial part and stuff. So basically, when I come in, I grab their arm and I do this, what they call the emergency handshake, because like, hi sir, my name is blah blah blah, or hi ma'am, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm taking the pulse. There's few things that I'm getting right there. And just by doing this, hi, my name is blah, 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 how are you? And they respond to me. I want you to pause this and take a few seconds and just wonder what kind of information did I just receive by doing this, 5-10 seconds? Putting my hands here, feeling like this, and getting information. So I'll let you pause it and we'll come back. Okay, so I hope you did pause and kind of think, but basically I got way more information than just a pulse. First of all, I asked the question, how are you? And they answer me. If they answer me, yes, the sky is blue, I know they're confused. That means I just assess their neural status. That's the first system that I'm studying. The head. Are they coherent? Are they alert? Are they talking to me? If they're like, that's quite a different assessment than if they're like, yes, blah, 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 blah. If they're talking to me and they're answering correctly, then I know they're first of all, they answer what I'm saying, and second of all, they answer correctly. And again, when we'll talk about stroke, that's also another ones that it can have stuff. The second thing is, all that time I'm looking at their face, and so I can see if they're sweating, if they're pale, if they're like this, like sick, non-sick, or anything like this. The second thing that I've just assessed as well, so head is the first system, so what we call neurology, so basically their head, how it goes and stuff. The second thing that I just assessed with this quick question in less than 5 or 10 seconds is their chest. How did I assess their chest? Is because in my vision, I've looked at how they respond to me. I look how they respond, and also if they respond. If they're like, I'm very, their breathing is not doing fine. I can see that because I can hear it. And so basically, if I see their chest like kind of going like this, I know they're having trouble breathing. So right now, I don't need a stethoscope. I don't need anything. I know that they're not breathing correctly. So there's a problem with their chest. That is the second system, breathing. How are they breathing? And they're speaking full sentences, meaning like, yes, I'm doing fine, versus, no, I'm doing I'm short of breath. That's 1 or 2 words. That's quite a different assessment of the breathing. Chest-wise, I'm doing fine, but I got chest pains and stuff, again, in the chest. So I'm assessing, but now they tell me that they have chest pain, or they feel pressure and stuff like that. So that's an assessment of the chest. The second thing that I'm going to assess on cardiovascular, that's what we call cardiovascular, so chest, so breathing, and cardiovascular, it's another system. Cardiovascular meaning cardio, heart, vascular means the blood and the circulation. As I have my hands on here, and I was talking to you about not needing a stethoscope or a blood pressure machine, that's why. If I feel their pulse very hard, so usually I put it on a scale of 1 to 3. If I feel their pulse, and this is like totally up to you what you consider a 2 or a 3, but as long as you use the same scale. If I put my hands here and I feel their pulse, boom, 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 they have a good blood pressure. And also, by putting my hands here, I feel their temperature. I feel their skin. If their skin is diaphoretic or not, which some people will have when they have chest pains and stuff like that. And so by putting my hand here, I feel if their pulse is okay, if it's regular, and also if they're bouncing or stuff. If it's a faint pulse and they look like this, then probably their cardiovascular is not doing so well and their pressure is on the lower side, because I cannot feel a good pulse here. So you see right there in the 5-10 seconds, just one question asking this, I got a lot of information. So that's for the cardiovascular. The fourth one, so neurovascular, so the head, breathing, cardiovascular, meaning the heart and the vascularization and everything that goes with the blood pressure. And then the abdomen. Are you nauseous? Do you have any abdominal pain? I press on the belly, see if it's soft or anything like this. The abdomen is the other one. With this, I include as well how they're avoiding and everything. So from basically from the belly button all the way up to mid legs. So if you're peeing okay, if they're passing their water okay, if they're having good bowel movement, if they're if they're in the woman's size, if they're having vaginal discharge or bleeding, that's another assessment. It's a quick question you can ask. Do you have any bleeding? Do you have any abdominal pain? Do you have any stuff? So that's the trauma. So did they either? So we have head, chest, abdomen, skin, and then trauma. Trauma meaning that did they fell from or were they involved so did they fell from a certain height? Were they involved in penetrating? So were they stabbed? Or if there was a tornado, were they impaled by an object or something like that? Are they bleeding like majorly and everywhere and stuff? But obviously this is more in my assessment. It's reversed, but trauma is part of it. But in my bedside assessment, those are the system that I assess. But if we have somebody for trauma, it's a little bit different. But yeah, trauma, this is what it pretty much is assessed. So there's 4 systems that I always assess, which is head, chest, abdomen, and skin. And then the trauma is another system. It's not so much a system, but more a circumstance that creates a certain kind of injuries that need to be assessed separately because it changes your priorities. For example, if I'm bleeding, you don't need to do the head to toe for this. You need to get to the bleeding right away. If they're burned or otherwise, there's some stuff you need to do right away before you can do any other of your assessments. So that's why trauma has its own little thing. So those are like the 5 categories that I put for assessment: trauma, head, chest, abdomen, and skin. And as you can see, as I go further along in the stuff, just doing a quick thing like this, taking again on that side, but taking my the person harmed like this, asking a quick questions, how they're doing and stuff, if you have any nausea or whatever. I'm assessing all those 4 systems very quickly, in less than 1 minute or 2 minutes, and it gives me a lot of information. And the document I'm working right now is those kind of questions. What kind of questions should I ask, and what's going to help you with your decision? Gather that with your laboratory, because usually when we assess someone in emergency, 90% of our 90% of our exam is all about the question we ask and the physical clue we got. So what they call the sign and symptoms. So symptoms is questions because they feel it, so we have to ask the question how they feel, and the sign is things that we see. And then the other 5% is to confirm what we see by doing tests, and so, or an x-ray, labs, things like that, that will confirm or infirm what we're thinking they have. And so this is why the laboratory other complaint is. So if you have that, then you kind of have a pretty good image of or idea to help you take a decision about what should I do about person X versus person Y, and taking a decision. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate, just ask below, and I'll talk to you soon.